Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure, all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. And note there is a wide variety of content on Bookmap Discord on a wide variety of asset classes, options, futures, stocks, crypto, also in a wide variety of languages, and presentations all during the day. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @Pless. Here's the basis of my trading, the key tenets for my approach to trading. First of all, I believe that options traders and market maker options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures, and certainly in the equity futures like the S&P 500 and NASDAQ and the large cap tech stocks that I follow. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index, and ES is a version, a derivative of SPX, and SPY is the ETF version of SPX. So when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades. They want to remain delta neutral, so they hedge their delta with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index, QQQ is the ETF version of that index, and NQ is a derivative of NDX. So again, when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, also the Mag 7 stocks, we'll take a look at it in just a little while. Market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as the directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow on Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow on Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset. For example, for the S&P 500, setups can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. And hello, Stephen, Anirak, Teddy, and Mark using price and time method. Hello, welcome, glad you're all here. Thanks for watching. All right, here's my agenda for today, Friday, March 1st. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data and events for today, and then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today, and then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know, and I'll be glad to do that. And also, I will try and demonstrate the trading functionality of Bookmap with a live trade. Not a recommendation, it will be just to illustrate the trading functionality within Bookmap. All right, let's go on to economic data now for today. All right, so there was some data released today. This is the ES futures in Bookmap. So the data today, there was at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time, manufacturing PMI came in greater than expected, greater than the previous number. More manufacturing PMI data at 10 a.m. That was less than expected, less than previous. And then also Michigan consumer sentiment came out at 10 a.m. and that was also less than expected and less than previous. And here's the reaction to that data. Initial bullish reaction, pullback, and then the S&P 500 started to move higher and still continues to move higher. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Take a look at what was going on with the options market and also in the order flow here in Bookmap and levels that came into play. All right, so let's go on. Let's go ahead and do that now. Let's take a look at the levels. All right, so again, this is the S&P 500 futures in Bookmap. Let me check for questions. Anurag asks, since the data was bad, then why did the market go up eventually? Well, I don't know for sure, but I think in this environment, often bad news is good news. That means that the Fed may be closer to cutting rates if the data comes out bad, and that's what the market wants. The market participants are looking for the Fed to start cutting interest rates. All right, Mark says AI stocks rampant. Yeah, so NVIDIA was a huge mover today. As long as NVIDIA is going up, it's hard for the NASDAQ and S&P 500 also to move lower. All right, so let's take a look at the S&P 500. I'm going to move on to positional analysis. So this is the S&P 500 futures in Bookmap, ES futures. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to step back, look at a larger time frame, and I'm going to go to the underlying index. I'm going to take a look at the underlying index, a one-day chart. This is SPX. Current rally began last year, October 30th, and so far SPX has rallied in the last 4 months up over 1,000 points. That's shown by this purple trend line here. Well, it's not showing the data. All right, so let's move on. Again, that's over 1,000 points. All right, so that was a one-day rally showing the current overall big picture. Now let's zoom in a bit. Sticking with SPX, this is the top end of that trend in a 30-day, 1-hour chart. Let me just point out quickly the expirations for this year so far. There's the January expiration. SPX broke out above the 4,800 level. Here's the February expiration. This is the monthly expiration. A little bit of consolidation after that expiration, and that's typical in a call dominated environment. And then NVIDIA reported earnings, and now SPX continues higher. Note the call walls. I'll talk more about that in just a minute. For SPX this year, 2024, have moved up from around 4,800 at the beginning of the year all the way up to now 5,200. All right, so speaking of levels, let's take a look at the levels on this chart. Going to zoom in just a bit. Whoops. Alright, so first of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is based on the options market, and this is based on the closing price last Friday. So I will update this over the weekend for the coming week. Alright, so again, this is based on the options market, and so far SPX is trading still below the upper weekly expected move. The dashed blue line showing the lower and upper daily expected move. This is updated once a day, also based on the options market, and I post this the evening before. So this is based on the closing price for SPX from yesterday. And note that now SPX is trading above that upper daily expected move. Alright, the other lines on this chart are Spotgamma levels. These are proprietary Spotgamma levels. They're provided to Spotgamma subscribers, and they're available on a variety of trading platforms. This is Thinkorswim. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, here is the 5,000 level. That's the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. So that's where most of the gamma weighted open interest is concentrated. And note that level did actually move down from yesterday. It was at 5,100 yesterday, moved down to 5,000 today. All right, the next level up is the put wall, and that's at 5,040. That's right here, PW, put wall 5,040. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma, and that can be expected to act as support. Next level up is the volatility trigger. That's at 5,070. And then a Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In negative gamma environment, they have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility. On the other hand, above that level, like SPX is trading now, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And note that level did move up from yesterday. So it was down at 50.45 yesterday, moved up to 5,070. And then most notable, the call wall has moved up to 5,200. That's a strike with large net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. So based on that, the level did move up from 5,100 yesterday to 5,200 today, and that gives the SPX more room to run higher. The potential ceiling for price now has moved higher. Alright, so for SPX, volatility trigger, call wall both moved higher. The absolute gamma strike moved lower down to 5,000. Alright, let's take a look at one other SPX chart. Just go to a 1-minute chart to see the levels in play for today. SPX and 1-day chart. So it looks like this is showing about 2 days worth of data, 2.5 days worth of data. So the dark shaded portions are the regular trading hours. So it looks like the current trend began yesterday, right around 11:45, something like that, 11:35, and is continuing today, this steady mechanical uptrend. Note this 5,100 level. That was the call wall that has been resistance for quite some time. SPX broke firmly above that level now. So the 5,100 level, that was the previous call wall, acting as resistance for quite some time, and now SPX is moving higher. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. So in Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes. So I can show SPX levels. Here's that 5100 level that I mentioned before that had been resistance in the past. SPX, ES broke cleanly above that level. I also have SPY levels on this chart. So here's the SPY 510 call wall. So there's a pretty big difference in the call wall between SPY and SPX. SPX call wall, remember, still well up above at 5200, and now the SP 500 is trading above the SPY 510 call wall. And we'll take a look at the absolute gamma strikes in just a minute and see that there is a potential candidate for a new call wall. We'll confirm that on Monday. But if this rally continues, it's likely that that SPY call wall may move up closer to the SPX call wall. One other key level today, actually, one other key level is this SPY 508.59 combo 2 level. And that comes from the Spotgamma website. So again, I'm putting all these levels in my own cloud notes so I can show SPY levels, SPX levels, as well as ES levels. So here's ES 5100, here's the ES upper daily expected move, and then the 5150 level just above. And note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. And today it's right around 8 points. So I'm showing the SPX 5100 level at ES 5108. So the ES to SPX offset today is 5108, is 8 points. So again, ES minus SPX at 8 points. And I do post those index relationships that I'm using every day in Discord. I was a little bit late this morning. I try and post the preliminary numbers by 9 a.m. and then the final numbers right by around 10 a.m. as the data settles out. All right, we'll talk about setups in a few minutes. So those are the levels in play for today. Very steady mechanical uptrend today in the SP 500. All right, let's move on to NASDAQ. This is the NQ futures and Bookmap. And let's step back and take a look at the underlying index charts for NASDAQ. I'm going to start with QQQ. Looks like I need to adjust these price levels. I'll do that later. So here this is just an incredible, very mechanical uptrend. Spotgamma levels, only one in play earlier today, and that was the call wall at 440. All right, now I forgot to mention for SPY, all 4 key daily levels moved higher. So for SPY, the volatility trigger put wall, call wall, and absolute gamma strike all moved higher from yesterday, and that's very bullish. All right, for QQQ, bullish hat trick, volatility trigger put wall, and absolute gamma strike moved higher. So 440 is the call wall and absolute gamma strike. All right, let's take a look at NDX and note that level was support earlier in the day. Good launching point for a long if you wanted to take a long before the 10 a.m. data. All right, let's take a look at NDX real quick, and then we'll get back to the NQ futures. Steady mechanical uptrend, just like SPX. Began just after 11:30 yesterday. And note the NDX levels have been corrected. I mentioned yesterday they were kind of wonky. I did not even write them down, but today they're back to normal. All right, so let's see. And this 1880 that acted as support this morning. So this is the cash open right here. And this 18,080, that's a combo one combining NDX and QQQ. Gamma weighted open interest into one level. And here shown in terms of an NDX price. So combo one being the most important. All right, so let's see how these levels line up on the index chart, NQ chart. So you can't see the label here, but this is this white line right here is the 440. 440 call wall, absolute gamma strike, and there's that 18,080 NDX level just above. Both good launching points for long this morning. And so I have my own cloud notes, so I can show NDX levels, QQQ levels, and also important levels for NQ. Here's the upper daily expected move in light blue and the upper weekly expected move. So far, NASDAQ shows no sign of slowing down. All right, so those are the levels in play for today. For the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, let's wrap up positional analysis. First of all, take a look at gamma notional. We'll see how market makers were positioned on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. All right, so here's gamma notional. This is the data table at the bottom of the AM Founders Note. I'm going to take a look at gamma notional for the S&P 500, NASDAQ, Russell 2000. Note all these numbers are positive. And for an index, what Spotgamma assumes is that traders are short calls, market makers are long calls, hence the positive gamma, and they have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. And note all these numbers did move up from yesterday. All right, so all positive. All right, let's take a look at one other thing. This is the absolute gamma strikes. We'll start with SPX. Let's just zoom in real quick. All right, so what this chart is showing is call gamma or positive gamma. This is market makers position. For SPX, call gamma, positive gamma with the orange bars, and blue gamma, put gamma or blue bars shown, that's negative gamma, shown with the blue bars. Here's the 5,000 level, and that is the strike with the largest absolute positive negative gamma. That's pretty obvious. There's that 5,100 level. Again, SPX broke above that level today. And then here's the 5,200 call wall. And that is basically the orange bar minus the blue bar. That's pretty obvious, the strike with the largest net positive gamma. Let's take a look at SPY. Zoom in on this. And SPY, remember, all right, so there's the 510 call wall. Remember, SPY is trading well above that level. And here's the 515 level. To me, that looks like the next potential candidate for a call wall, and that very well could be the case on Monday. So we'll talk about that on Monday. If the call walls have shifted higher, the SPY call wall has shifted higher. And you can see there's a huge difference between the orange bar and the blue bar. All right, so based on the information that I just talked about, my thesis for the day was bullish. Remember, there were 2 shifts higher for SPX, and especially the call wall shifted higher. And for SPY, all 4 key daily levels moved higher, most notably the call wall up to 510. And again, I expect that could potentially move higher on Monday. All right, so let's move on to talk about some setups now. All right, let me check for questions. All right, JBG asked, could we analyze NVIDIA today? Yeah, I'll take a look at NVIDIA. That's on my list. I'm going to look at the equity futures first, and then I'll move on to stocks. All right, so yeah, I will get to NVIDIA. All right, so everything that we've looked at so far, other than the Bookmap, is based on static data. Spotgamma takes open interest data that comes out sometime during the night. They apply their algorithms to that data to come up with the levels that I've been showing. Now we're going to move on to execution, move on to real-time data. So this chart is the hero chart, hedging impact real-time options. So what it's showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity, showing it for a variety of instruments here. This is the S&P 500. So what this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. The white line is the price for SPX, and the purple line is the hero signal. And a rising hero signal indicates that traders are taking positive delta positions. They are buying calls and or selling puts. And a falling hero signal, again the purple line, indicates traders are taking negative delta positions. They are buying puts and or selling calls. All right, so this is the signal that I use for the S&P 500. All right, so let's zoom in on this chart now. Going to zoom in just a little bit. Hello, Caesar. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, so what I'm going to look at is a long setup. Notice up until 10 a.m., price was drifting lower. Traders were taking negative delta positions. And this started to move up right around 9:55. And then right at 10 a.m. when the data came out, the consumer sentiment, PMI data, there was a huge block order in the S&P 500, bullish. And I think that was call buyers. We can take a look at that in just a minute. Note also the flow alert, signaling significant options activity. Hero signal started to move higher. There was one pullback, 10:05. Great entry point for long as traders continued to take positive delta positions. All right, I'm going to shift to puts and calls so we can see what traders were doing with puts and calls individually. So I'm going to shift to that. I'm going to have to move to another chart to avoid the auto zoom. I'm going to go back to the S&P 500. Let's zoom in again. All right, so the blue line is showing puts and the orange line showing calls. So this shows net for the day. Traders have been buying puts. There's negative notional value there. They've also been buying calls, call buyers more aggressive, and that's what that block order was, a large order, that vertical line, large order, call buying, and they continue to buy calls. All right, so let's go to Bookmap. Go back to ES. Let's zoom in on the morning here. Oops. All right, so here's the reaction to the data. And note before that, remember yesterday one of these in between SPY levels was acting as resistance, today acting as support. Bullish reaction to the data, initially pullback down to VWAP. It looks like price did not quite make it back down to that SPY 508.59 level. Good entry point for a long, and then multiple pullbacks. The volume dots in Bookmap are showing market buy minus sell. Magenta dots indicate more sellers than buyers. Notice down here a lot of magenta dots. Those are again market sell, market buy minus sell. Magenta dots, more sellers. Green volume dots indicate more buyers than sellers. Aggressive buyers start to come in. Cumulative volume delta shown by the dark blue line starts to rise, and then as price starts to move higher, buy stop orders help to fuel that move higher. That's shown by the rising yellow line. Also the on chart indicator there. So this rally that began, I guess started up again right around 10 a.m., fueled by call buyers and also buy stop orders. It looks like I need to add more SPY levels. I thought 512 was going to be high enough today. I'll have to adjust my chart. All right, so the rally continues, fueled by buy stop orders, shown by the rising yellow line, as well as call buyers. All right, let me check for questions. All right. OLGQ asked how Bookmap is good on a crypto market, and Bookmap does have crypto data. A lot of crypto traders. I do not trade crypto. I don't know anything about it, but it is very useful for crypto. I suggest you join Bookmap Discord, and there is a room specifically for crypto and also presentations specifically for crypto. All right, Pharaoh was asking about the block trade. Yeah, that's a feature of Hero. That vertical line indicates a large block trade. All right, so uptrend continues. Let's go back and take a look at Hero. So we know that today stop orders, buy stop orders, fueling the move higher. Also, large traders are fading this move with iceberg orders. That's shown by this falling light blue line. Also the negative number here. This is cumulative for the day since I opened Bookmap around 6:40 a.m. All right, so let's go back to Hero. Let's see what options traders are doing. All right, so they continue to buy calls, shown by the rising orange line. This is pretty large. Notional value positive 6.1 billion, compared with the notional value for puts minus 1.3 billion. All right, so call buyers much more aggressive, driving price higher. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. For NASDAQ, I look at this MAG 7 signal. Let me zoom out and show you what this chart is showing. So what this chart is showing is options trades, market maker hedging activity for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, Tesla. And these stocks are key drivers of the NASDAQ 100 that make up a large component of the NASDAQ 100. And I found recently that this hero signal provides a much better signal for the NASDAQ. All right, so this has been bullish all day. So this is showing for the MAG 7 stocks that traders are buying calls, shown by the rising orange line. They're also selling puts, that's shown by the rising blue line. All right, so let's go back to Bookmap. Go to NASDAQ. Uptrend continues. All right, let's go check Hero again. All right, Hero, zoom in just a little bit. Notice initially for somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes, they were selling calls. Then maybe right around 9:37, 9:38, they started buying calls again, started selling puts. Blue line, orange line moving in the same direction. That's a very powerful directional indicator. Market makers, when traders buy calls and sell puts in stock, market makers take the opposite side and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. And looking at this in terms of the NASDAQ, when traders are buying and selling these puts and calls, market makers are also hedging with NQ futures. All right, so the move up started somewhere between 9:35 and 9:40. So traders were buying calls just a few minutes after the cash open. All right, so there were long entries. Remember this white line right here is the QQQ 440 level, and that is NQ 18,100 just below that. Initial entry point for a long. Next entry point if you wanted to trade before the 10 a.m. data, the 18,080 C1 level, combo 1 level. Then if you're looking for a long after the cash open, it looks like point of control there might have been a good long entry. Pull back to QQQ 441. Just like the S&P 500 rally in NASDAQ, also driven by call buyers and buy stop orders. All right, let's zoom back out. And it looks like I'm going to need to add more QQQ levels to my chart also. So I'll do that over the weekend. All right, so in the case of NASDAQ, cumulative volume delta rising as well. Now it looks like large traders are getting on board with iceberg orders. So at this point in the MAG 7 stocks, traders are buying calls and selling puts. Cumulative volume delta, so aggressive buyers are buying NASDAQ. Buy stop orders fueling the move higher, and now large traders are buying with iceberg orders. JBG asks, how does Moo compare to Bookmap? I'm not familiar with Moo. I don't know what that is. All right, Ferris says SPX already at weekly call wall. All right, so there, SPX is not at the call wall yet. The call wall is now at 5,200. I don't know if you're talking about the upper weekly expected move. Two different things. So the upper weekly expected move is still up above, right around 5150. And the call wall still up at 5,200. All right, let's take a look at some stocks and then we'll get to the live market. All right, while I'm talking about NASDAQ, I do want to follow up on something from yesterday. This is from yesterday afternoon. If you remember, I was talking about a long setup in NASDAQ, looking for a long setup right around this 438 level, QQQ 438. This is 430, the end of my session yesterday, and I went over about 5 minutes looking for a long at that level, just trying to illustrate or show the trading features in Bookmap. And this is illustrates part of the difficulty of live trading during a session. It really took 45 minutes. This NQ finally didn't take off until around 3:15. So again, that kind of indicates the difficulty of trading live in my session, that trading futures especially requires a large amount of patience, waiting for just the right setup. All right, so that's a follow-up from yesterday, along at 430. 438 took 45 minutes to really play out. All right, let's take a look at some stocks, and then we'll get to live market. All right, so here's Apple. Let's take a look at Hero. Let's go to Apple. And I'm going to focus on the morning session. That's mostly when I trade. Note that 180 is actually the put wall, also the key gamma strike in the hedge wall. Good entry point for a short this morning as traders were selling calls and buying puts. Right around 12:15, it looks like that reversed, and now Apple is making its way back up to the 180 level. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. All right, so there's the short this morning at 180. Then just after 12, Apple makes a sharp reversal higher as traders started buying calls and selling puts. All right, the next stock that I want to take a look at is Meta. All right, let's take a look at something for Meta here. Give me just a moment. Drag this screen over. This is Equity Hub for Meta. What I was looking at is looking for a potential call gamma unwind. So looking at next expiry gamma percent. So this is the gamma that expires, and it shows the date. So for Meta, 30% of gamma is expiring today, and anything over 30% is significant. So looking for a potential call gamma unwind. This chart is the composite view chart showing green area, the green area showing call domination, green call domination, that's above the 480 strike. put domination below. So I was looking for a potential move lower in Meta if traders started selling calls. Meta move lower, the calls up above 480 here that are expiring today start to lose value due to charm. That's just change in delta as time passes. And market makers, when traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls. They have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. When those calls start to lose value, their delta exposure drops and they can sell their long stock hedges. So that's a potential that I was looking for, and it looked like that might have played out. Let's zoom in on this a little bit. So in the morning, making for a nice long setup, traders were buying calls. Note there were some good pullback entries. If you were looking for a long, they were buying calls and selling puts. And just right around 10, 10, 10, 15, options traders took their foot off the gas. So they stopped selling puts and stopped buying calls and actually started selling calls again around 10:10 as price moved up above the 500 call wall. All right, so let's go back to Bookmap. Let's zoom in on this. So here's we'll focus on the morning here. Long setups on the pullbacks that were shown with the call buyers temporarily taking their foot off the gas. Pullback longs. Price makes it up to the 500 level. Let me zoom in a bit more. All right, so I was looking for a potential short after long on the move up to the 500. Note also the liquidity at that level. Bookmap shows a history of the limit orders in the order book. This dark red shading indicates there were a large number of sell orders. Those are limit sell orders, often act as a magnet for price. So initially, when price hit that 500 level, Meta moved down about 2 points and then finally broke this trend line, and that was good for another short from 500 to 498, and that's all it was good for, just a couple of scalps. All right, let's move on. Oops. All right, price consolidated for a while. Let me just go ahead and zoom out. Then started to move higher, and then broke above 500 after, let's say around 12:45, something like that. All right, so good long in the morning, short scalp, and then long again in the afternoon. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go back to the entire day. So right around 12:30, they started buying calls again. Maybe 12:50, price starts to move higher. All right, NVIDIA, the last one. Then we'll get to the live market. And note for NVIDIA, 800 is the call wall, key gamma strike. A couple of flow alerts in this morning. So traders are buying calls, shown by the rising orange line, and selling puts. And also, NVIDIA has breached its call wall. So what happens then? Those calls are concentrated at the 800 level. Remember, traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. So they are short calls, and as those calls at the 800 level go deeper in the money, their delta increases. Market makers have to continue to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. Let's go to Bookmap, go to NVIDIA, and NVIDIA made a sharp move up to 820, then consolidation. And let's take a look at, go back to Hero. So note, call buyers took their foot off the gas right around 11:30. Then around 1:30 they started buying calls again. Go back to Bookmap. 11:30 at the 820 level, call buyers take their foot off the gas. Then they start buying calls again. Let's take a look at one other thing. Let's go back to Hero. I want to compare the NVIDIA signal to the Mag 7 signal. So remember this key turning point right here, somewhere between 9:35 and 9:40. Go to the Mag 7 signal. There's typically it's a very similar chart. Key turning point, same time, somewhere between 9:35 and 9:40. NVIDIA drives the Mag 7 stocks, which drive NASDAQ. All right, does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? All right, I want to take a look at, let's see, WRB wants to take a look at Tesla. We'll take a quick look at Tesla. So kind of a choppy day in Tesla here. Moving higher in the afternoon with everything else. Looks like call buyers. All right, slow to rise.
Iceberg ESH for CME by 300.
Okay, WRB, there's Tesla. Let's take a look. Check NASDAQ. Looks like the options traders taking the foot off the gas. Let's take a look at NQ. All right, so Anurag asks, can you suggest what the market may do now using Hero? Not using Hero alone. I'm looking at, when I'm trading, I have 3 screens. Let's just take a look at this. This may be a potential short. So I'm gonna, this is a demo. So I'm trading in a demo account. Let me just talk quickly about trading in Bookmap. So again, this is demo. This is not a recommendation. This is just to illustrate the trading features in Bookmap. All right, so first of all, to trade in Bookmap, you need Bookmap Global Plus. So you need a Global Plus subscription, and you need a data feed. So for futures, I have rhythmic data, and that's what the stops and icebergs add-on indicators are using, the MBO data. Also, you need a broker account. for futures, I trade on Trade-of-8. And there's often a lot of confusion about Trade-of-8. Trade-of-8 users seem to want to use data provided by Trade-of-8. I do not recommend that. I use rhythmic data. I subscribe to rhythmic data from the Bookmap marketplace. And then I use the Trade-of-8 connector. And using that, I can't get an arrow in and show that. So here are the connections. I have my Trade-of-8 connection turned on, so I can trade in my Trade-of-8 account, show the trades on Bookmap, or I can trade on Bookmap and show the trades on my Trade-of-8 account. So slow to Razi, I'm not sure if this selling may be short-lived. All right, so now going on to the trading features in Bookmap. Here's the trade control panel. And I like to trade on the chart. Also, this is a very handy feature in Bookmap. You can select micros if you want. If you want to trade micros from the NQ chart, you can do that. That's what I've selected here. So I can trade the full mini contract or micros. A lot of people like to trade MNQ. That's the micros for NQ. Makes it more accessible for people. And then the way I trade is I will start with either one or two contracts, and I will double click so I can move, and I'm also using the bracket order. So once I click, I have a stop loss order and a take profit order. If I double click, that puts twice the number of contracts that I've selected in my order, and I can then adjust the take profits and stop orders as I see fit. And note that I never move my stop orders higher. All right, let's take a look at ES, see what's going on in ES. Let me just show a trade from earlier today. And this was a very simple counter trend trade just before noon, just before I was going to leave for lunch. Again, just to illustrate the trading features in Bookmap. I did notice there was a little bit of weakness in the hero signal. This is the upper daily expected move. So here again, I'm using the micros just to make this more accessible for everyone. One contract, double clicked here, sell order at the upper daily expected move, also that liquidity in the order book. And then the way I have my bracket set up, both take profits were right here. I moved one up just above the 511 level. That's right here. And then the other one I initially moved just above the 515 level. Got a little bit impatient. I was ready to go to lunch, so I moved it up just a bit. I could have waited, but I got filled at, I've entered short at 28.50, and my first take profit was at 26.25, and the second take profit at 24.50. So that's using the trading features, the trading control panel within Bookmap. All right, so this is from earlier today, just a counter trend short. And it certainly does not seem like that would be a good idea now. Let me just check one thing to see where the 513 level is. All right, so ES is trading above the 513 level now. All right, so this pullback was just another potential entry for a long. Same for NASDAQ here. Just a pullback to 350. Potential long entry. All right, let's check Hero, see what options traders are doing. Let me just remind you, when I am trading, I'm looking at 3 screens, totally concentrated. The screens are Bookmap. In the middle, I have Hero on one side and my trading platform, Trade of 8 for futures, on the other side. Here, of course, I'm only presenting on one screen, so I can only look at one screen at a time. So that makes it much more difficult to place live trades. So I'm going to place just a demo trade here just to illustrate the trading features. What I'm going to do is set up a buy stop order. So I'm going to do a shift, double click, move this down just a little bit. And this is not a recommendation. This is just to illustrate trading features in Bookmap. Drag this down a little bit more. So I'm looking for a move higher.
Stop filled.
All right, probably would have been better to wait for a test of 350. My stop is below 350. I'm going to set my first take profit 10 points up. Again, this is just for illustrating the trading features in Bookmap. All right, so my time was pretty much up. I just wanted to go ahead and enter something just to illustrate these features again. So what I did, I double clicked. I have one contract trading micros, and then I have my stop 10 points down below, and then I dragged my first limit order, take profit order, 10 points above my entry point. It looks like I'm going to get stopped out.
Stop filled.
Okay. All right, so again, that was not a recommendation. That was just to illustrate trading features here in Bookmap. All right, we can try that one more time. Ideal entry point. Let's do a quick check on. I'm going to shift, double click again.
Stop filled.
Drag my take profit down. Right on top of that liquidity there. And Ferris asks, what is the bands? Is that past liquidity? All right, so this, everything to the right of this line right here, this is live. So this is live liquidity. These are live orders moving up and down. All right, so it looks like a trend break short here would have been a better trade. All right, so it looks like I'm going to get stopped out again. All right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments.
Stop filled.
Have a great weekend, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.